Joe the Shirts off the cuff. Oh yeah, baby. Joe the Shirts off the cuff. Thank you for listening in. Welcome one and all to Joe the Shirts off the cuff. I know it's been a while since you guys have heard from me. Unlike other times when you guys haven't heard from me, this had nothing to do with me being out of town. It had nothing to do with me being sick. It had nothing to do with me being too, drunk or high to make it to you guys. Honestly, the reason it's been so long is because I've been taking the time to really think about what it is I wanted to say about today's particular subject matter. As you can see, it's going to be a little on the heavier side than most of my shows tend to be. Today, title of today's show is Dallas, Paris, Orlando, Nice, Istanbul, take your pick. And that's really what I meant to go with, because honestly, take your pick. I really am to the point where I'm just a little sick and tired of hearing these stories, I'm a little sick and tired of them, honestly, and I want to give them the time that they deserve and the thought process that I think they deserve. And I know that a lot of you out there are split on a lot of these stories, or you're split on where your loyalties lie. Do you support the police? Do you support the Black Lives Matter? Do you support, our right as citizens to live our lives the way as we want to? Or do you support, the people over in the Middle East who actually were born and live there, and, their needs and wants and desires? And it's a tough place to be in as an American, as a human being. Fuck Americans, And the funny thing is, I tend to have friends on both sides of these issues. I really do. And right now, I'm actually trying to be as objective as I can. And as a human being, I find that to pretty much be impossible. You can't read or listen or watch any of these stories and then think to yourself, okay, well, there's clearly a right and a wrong here, and there's clearly a right and a wrong there. Well, you can, most people do, but if you take in everybody's perspective, equally, right and wrong tends to cease to exist for a lot of people. I personally am not one of those people. I believe that there is some objective right and wrongs. I truly do. Is it right, for instance, to randomly go around, kicking cats? No, I don't think so. Don't go around randomly kicking cats. That's a bad thing, But is it right to say, put somebody in an electric chair after he's, murdered 30 children? Yeah, I'm good with that. I know I'm being flippant because that is my thing, but it's not where I'm going today. But trust me, if you listen long enough, there will be some levity at the end. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but there will be some levity at the end, okay? First one I want to go with today is the most recent story that we've heard of. What happened in Nice just a couple of days ago. As we all know, it was Bastille Day in France, and some guy decided that he was going to take out his shit on a large crowd of Bastille celebrants, I think is the correct words, by taking his truck and driving through this huge crowd of people, then proceeding to shoot at them. This resulted in 84 deaths, including the deaths of 10 children, 2 Americans, 1 father, 1 child, and injuring over 200. Yeah, I got the story for you right here. This is from the Los Angeles Times. A truck loaded with weapons barreled through a crowd of Bastille Day revelers gathered Thursday to watch a fireworks display in the southern French resort of Nice, fatally crushing people for more than a mile in what officials described as the latest in a string of deadly terrorist attacks to hit Europe. At least 84 people were killed, including children, and many more were wounded, 18 of them critically, French Interior Ministry officials told reporters. Grisly video. You can actually go online and watch this. It is absolutely horrifying. Grisly video showed a white truck accelerating down a coastal promenade, teeming with people before the driver was shot and killed by police. Local authorities said the vehicle was full of arms and grenades. Now, right off the bat, that is disgusting on a level that is just hard to describe. I mean, here in California, there have been a couple of incidences where a couple of old people, have lost control of their car and just barreled through, like, the Santa Monica Pier, killing a bunch of people, hurting a bunch of others. But you know what? And as horrible as that was, we know that was an accident. Old guy lost control, put his foot on the accelerator instead of on the brake pedal. But now we're talking about an individual that knowingly just barreled this fucking truck through all these people, just killing them indiscriminately, and was planning to do a lot more, after his truck stopped. I continue to read the story here. There was no immediate claim of responsibility, but French media reported that the identity papers of a French national of Tunisian descent were found in the truck. Supporters of the extremist group Islamic State celebrated the attack on social media. The group has been blamed for deadly attacks in Paris, Brussels, Istanbul, Orlando, Florida, and beyond, even as its fighters lose ground in Syria and Iraq. The attack occurred about 10:30 p.m. as people flooded the Promenade des Anglais after watching the fireworks. Witnesses said the truck drove through the throngs, traveling 25-30 miles per hour. Now, the identity of the attacker since then has been found out. I don't remember his exact name, but I believe his first name was, some part in there was the name Muhammad. Now, I don't know what your political leanings are, what your political beliefs are. But several things actually really piss me off about attacks like this. One, they don't work. Okay, they're not effective. The world over, in France, here in the US, and other parts of the world, people continue to live their lives. Yes, we are all well aware that there are terrorists out there. We are all well aware that there are people that want to do us harm. But, like everybody says, if you stop living your life the way you want to, then of course the terrorists win. Okay. And of course, nobody's going to do that. We're going to continue to live our lives, one way or the other. Maybe with a little more caution, maybe with a sharper eye as to our surroundings. But the truth of the matter is, you know what? I go out every day, and I drive, and I walk, and I talk to people, and I talk to strangers, and I am in crowded places. And I do go to parades, and I do go to festivals where there's lots of people, and what you call an easy, high-level target there, And you know what? I'm not going to stop going. And neither should you. Yes, is there risk inherent in going to these things? Absolutely. But what's the alternative? You stay home? You never go out? You don't live your life? No, bullshit. That's the first thing that bothers me about these attacks. Second thing that bothers me about these attacks is even if these groups got what they wanted. Imagine just for a second that these groups, ISIS, ISIL, whoever you want to, what was this other group here that I was reading about here? Islamic State. Even if these groups got everything they wanted, okay? All troops from every foreign country pull out of Muslim countries, okay? Let's say we pull out every troop out of Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, we take Tunisia, we take Syria, we take all of our troops, any sort of influence, any sort of government control, so that only those Muslims are there remained. And let's add to that. I'm going to add to that one more thing. Let's assume that we wipe Israel off the face of the earth, okay? We move, or we just take every Jew in the Middle East, we just, uproot them and move them to a completely different place, away from any Muslim anywhere in the world. So that in the Middle East, there's only Muslims. I can guarantee you that the attacks would not stop. I don't believe for a second that if they got everything they wanted, that they would stop the attacks. Not for a second. Because after a while, I don't think it becomes just about, what it is they want, in the immediate sense. I think it also becomes about what it is they want to do after that. I believe that after that, then they would want to spread their influence to the rest of the world. So again, absolutely useless in that vein. I think that even if they got everything they wanted, they would continue to do what they're doing. I think actually that they would escalate what they're doing to make a point that, they can get away with it, that they're right. And the third thing that I find of the greatest irony, especially in France, in places like Nice and Paris, Paris, where they had all those bombings and all those people got killed, or in Istanbul, at the Istanbul airport, Turkey, where all those people got killed. Somewhere was like 50 people got injured, 3 bombers got, just walked into the airport, didn't need to go through the normal security because, they weren't trying to get on the planes, they were just trying to blow up the crowds right there. All right? The true irony is that these Muslim extremists are also killing Muslims. Okay, France has the largest population of Muslims in all of Europe. There are more Muslims in France, a little pissant-sized France, than all of the United States. Okay? So inevitably, when they set off bombs or drive trucks through a promenade of people, they are killing their own. That's the true irony to me, That's what I think is. I know I use the word ironic, but here's a word that I like to use all the time, and I know that a lot of people don't like it when I use this word to refer to these type of events. It's funny. It's fucking funny when they do shit like that. Because they are killing their own. They're hurting their own. Trying to make a point, trying to move for some sort of political agenda. That's fucking ridiculous. That's asinine. I continue with the story. Now, last month, attackers armed with guns and bombs killed more than 40 people at the Istanbul airport. There was no claim of responsibility for that attack, but the Turkish government blamed Islamic State. In March, Islamic State suicide bombers killed 32 people at the Brussels airport and a metro station in the Belgian capital. The extremist group also claimed responsibility for a devastating attack in Paris in November. Yes, I just mentioned that. Assailants armed with guns and bombs killed 130 people at several sites in the city. And in January 2015, a series of attacks in Paris struck a French magazine, a kosher market, and police officers, leaving 17 people dead. You remember the whole Je suis Charlie incident where the guys got all pissed off because that magazine, Charlie Hebdo? Yeah, Charlie Hebdo, decided that they would print a cartoon image of Muhammad. And as I've said before, I don't care about Muhammad, just like I don't give a fuck about Jesus, and I don't give a fuck about Buddha either. You know what? Your religious icons, fuck them, I don't care about them. Alright? And if I want to make fun of them, I'm gonna. Alright? And that's the whole point of living in these kinds of countries. When you live in the United States, when you live in a country like France or England or Canada, you're allowed to make fun of whoever you want because that's the country you live in. And the people that have an opposition to that, they have every right to be opposed to that. They don't have the right to kill other people over their opinions over what they think is funny or not, or the politically correct or not. So yeah. I know. Not exactly the light and airy Joe the shirt's off the cuff kind of fare today. And it's not going to be for a little while. But at the end, I do promise you some lighter fare. I promise you that. Today's music, believe it or not, is brought to you by Bob Johnson and the Funk Dogs. You heard their first song, Barbecue. Here's their second song, Bridge to Harlem. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. Show the shirts off the cuff. Oh yeah. Welcome back, everybody. All right, now we are back here today, and here's something for you. Brent Thompson, Lauren Ahrens, Michael J. Smith, Michael Kroll, Patrick Zamarripa. In case you're wondering who those people are, those are the 5 officers who were shot and killed in Dallas, Texas, by one Micah Xavier Johnson. Now, the reason I bring this up, and believe it or not, this is going to tie into a bunch of other stuff, so bear with me on this one. Now, so let's just took what basically happened here is Micah Xavier Johnson had some particular issues with white people, particularly white cops. And so he went out and decided that he was going to go out and kill white cops. Now, aside from the 5 officers here that he shot and killed, he also shot and wounded 9 others. Let me read you a little bit of the story here, though. See, Johnson's ambush took place during a demonstration to protest recent deadly police shootings of 2 African-American men in Louisiana and Minnesota. As hundreds of people marched through downtown Dallas, officials say Johnson opened fire, killing 5 police officers and wounding 9 others. This is the part that I think is funny. Friends and family expressed shock over the shootings, saying the attack ran counter to what they knew of Johnson. He had no criminal history or known ties to terrorist groups. He also served in the U.S. Army Reserve. He was one of ours. Okay? He was one of us. All right? This guy decided, as far as I can tell, I think he truly just went off the deep end. As far as anybody knows, he has no ties to any terrorist groups, to ISIS, ISIL, the Islamic State, none of that. But he did have some ties to a lot of their thinking. I continue. Now, inside Micah Xavier Johnson's home, detectives found bomb-making materials, ballistic vests, rifles, ammunition, and a personal journal of combat tactics, a police department usual said. Micah Xavier Johnson was a 25-year-old black man who showed interest in affiliated with black separatist movement. He had liked Facebook pages for the founder of Nation of Islam and for the Black Rioters Liberation Party, which are classified as hate groups by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because there have been some folks out there who somehow or another found Micah's actions to be perfectly justified. Yeah, absolutely. They think it's okay. They think that, he's making a statement. He's letting people know that he will not accept what the establishment tells him. That there's something wrong with the system and the system needs to be changed. Now, I want to know, how is it these people who justify Micah's actions go around condemning the actions of terrorists around the world. I mean, isn't that the very definition of hypocrisy? I mean, we go around saying that, we have the right to live our lives, we have the right to not be judged by the actions of others, that the innocent that do not participate in the injustices of others should not be punished. And yet, when people go around attacking police officers, when they go around shooting them, people fucking cheer. They say, yeah, that's right. That's the way it should be. Let the man know that he can't do that to us. Who's us? Who the fuck are you to claim us? We condemned the truck driver, because he's in another fucking country. He's an asshole. Their problems are their problems, and he was probably wrong, and he's fucked up. But when it happens here, when this guy does it to our officials, the people that we pay to protect us, to take care of us, to look out for us, we say, oh, yay! Now, I know on the other side of that, there have been reportings of a lot of, and even just recently in Louisiana, a lot of attacks by police officers on the citizenry. I'm not even going to say on blacks, because let's face facts, the truth of the matter is more white people get shot and killed by police officers than black people by a gigantic margin. Okay? I know that a lot of people might like to think that it's disproportionate to the population. Black people make up like 10% of the population, and yet their rate of being attacked, shot, and killed by the police is much higher than whites. Okay, I get that, and the only reason that there are more whites being killed is because there are more whites around. I get that. Those are statistics. You can't argue with them. The other side of that statistic is, I'm sorry to say it, and I have so many black friends that I grew up with and have to this day, but it just so happens that per capita, more blacks commit more crime. That's not racism, that's the truth. Per capita, more blacks commit crime than per capita of whites committing crime. Just like, and I'm throwing myself in the mix, all right? More Latinos per capita commit crime than white people. That's a fact, okay? Thus, more Latinos get shot and killed by police per capita than whites. That's a fact, okay? And you know what? Don't give me the statistics as to why they're committing crime, okay? You know what? The justice system, the police, the prisons, don't give a shit as to why you committed crime. They really don't. You commit crime, you get arrested, you resist arrest, you're gonna get shot. It happens. All right? So don't give me your racism card. I don't want to believe it. I'm not gonna believe it. Now, again, I'm going to go to the other side here. Are there bad cops? Absolutely. There are lots and lots of bad cops. There are cops that are on the take. There are cops that are working for criminal organizations. And yeah, there are cops that are complete and total racists, and they will beat you and shoot you if you are of a certain color. That's a fact. I believe that 100%. But that doesn't represent all police officers. Just, and this guy, what did he do? He went out and shot and killed 5 police officers, wounding 9 others. He had no idea of any of their personal records whatsoever. None of their personal records, none of their service records, not whether or not they had ever been disciplined for any type of racist activity. He had no idea which police officers he was shooting. He just knew that they were white. That's all he knew. Okay? So basically, he decided that because some cops were bad, he just indiscriminately shoot all cops. That's right up there with people saying, well, because that black guy raped a white woman, let's go out and lynch all black guys, because eventually, obviously, all black men are going to rape white women. Isn't that a fact? Isn't that the way that works? That's the analogy that he made. Okay, that's the lack of logic that he put together. And I'm not saying that this was a logical human being here. What I'm saying is this is a person that was not thinking straight and took the law into his own hands, took justice, not the law, he took justice into his own hands and decided to mete it out. Let me continue with the story here. Now, it's not that Michael Xavier Johnson had a bad record from the beginning. I mean, listen to this. Johnson received several medals for his tour of duty in Afghanistan, including an Army Achievement Medal and a NATO medal. He joined the Army Reserve in March 2009 and served a troop program until nearby Seagoville for 4.5 years, according to his service record. So this is not a person that, was on anybody's radar, Nobody's ever investigated him. But apparently, just a week before, Johnson had shared a video on Facebook of pilot whales being killed in the shallow waters off the Faroe Islands in the North Atlantic Ocean. Quote, "Look at the joy on their faces," Johnson wrote. "Why do so many whites enjoy killing and participating in the death of innocent beings?" Now, right there, you can see that Johnson here made a distinction between some and all. He wrote here, "Why do so many whites? So many. Why do so many whites?" He didn't say why do all whites or why do white people. No, he said why do so many. In his own writing, he even acknowledges that not all white people are like that. So he understood the difference between some and all and their correlation to specific groups. And finally, apparently he told, as he was, being, killed, he told armed officers facing him that he had been preparing for the assault, vowing that he, quote, wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. So, he understood the point I just made. He got it. He just got to the point that he didn't care. He didn't care who he was hurting. For all he knows, any one of these officers that he had shot and killed, may have been married to a black woman or a black man. For all he knows, some of these officers may have grown up in a foster home with black brothers and sisters. He didn't know. All he knew is that they were white. That's it. He made no distinction between good or bad, or he made no distinction between those who had actually done anything. He just decided to open fire. And then people read this story and justify it because some officers, they've done horrible things themselves. Some officers. But you know what? I remember telling you guys a story not that long ago about an officer who had been chasing down a naked teenager through a field, who had tasered him, bludgeoned him almost to death, basically, with his baton. But nobody reported that. Nobody put that on the news because the teenager was white and the officer was black. Nobody talked about that at all, did they? No. Why would they? That's not news. That doesn't sound like racism to anybody. That sounds like, just an officer doing his job. And now these days, it's not even, for a lot of people, it's not even just about, white officers. It's about the police in general. Like the whole Freddie Gray case. Some of those are black officers. Are we going to assume that they were being racist? Or is the thought process now that just all cops are bad, all cops are on power trips, and all cops are looking to hurt people, especially black people? or Latinos or any other kind of minority. You know, you don't see a lot about Asians being beaten and shot by the police. Once again, why? Because per capita, Asians really don't commit a whole lot of fucking crime in this country. Again, that's a fact. Not making shit up. You guys can look that up as much as you want. But not until after this break. Our next song is called Dogmentation, once again by Bob Johnson and the Funk Dogs. I'm Joe the Shirt, I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. Joe Shirts, off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Okay. Are you guys getting a lot of laughs out of this? I know it's not my typical show. I mean, I've been known to do some heavy shit before, but there's just been so much accumulating. And just so before I move on with the next story, which I promise you still ties into my previous story, and the one before that, for that matter. Once again, I need you guys to understand there's a belief I have, and it isn't that the world is necessarily getting worse. It's that we get to find out about it a lot faster than we used to, okay? You know, we don't rely on newspapers or the telegraph or telegrams anymore. I mean, we don't even have to look for it online anymore. We could be at home playing a game, looking through our emails, and pop, 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 look, there's all the stories, you know, bombing here, you know, train bombing there, shooting there, you know, beating there, murder there. It just pops up on your screen. You don't even have to look for this horrible shit anymore. It finds you. It's being fed to you. I stutter. It's being fed to you constantly. You find out about it even when you don't want to. Put all the fucking filters on your computer that you want. It's gonna get through. Okay. By now, I'm sure you're all familiar with Omar Mateen. Omar Mateen. I don't know why I made him Latino all of a sudden, but Omar Mateen. Now, we've all heard this story. This is probably one of the biggest stories of the year because it is the biggest mass shooting of ever here in the United States. Some people might argue that here and there they might, point out this or that or that. But I'm going to go with this one right now. It's like I said, it's a story that happened a little while ago, and it's one I wasn't able to cover because I actually was busy. But let me give you the quick overview here. Let's see here. Here's the opening here again from the Los Angeles Times here. For 3 hours, fear and uncertainty gripped Pulse. That's a gay nightclub in south of downtown Orlando, Florida. The terror began when Omar Mateen, 29, walked into the club with a semi-automatic rifle and a handgun and began shooting. It was Latin-themed night, was still winding down, a DJ was still spinning, and plenty of people were still dancing. Some patrons ran at the sound of gunfire. Some took shelter. Others were hit. By the time the siege was over, 49 people were dead and at least 53 were injured. By that time, Mateen was dead, killed by Orlando police officers after they breached the wall with an armored vehicle about 5 a.m. The reconstruction is based on news reports and interviews with witnesses, families, law enforcement, scanner traffic, and social media posts. I have for you guys an actual timeline here. It's way too much to read here, but you know what? I can post this for you guys online if you like. I can try to anyway. And it is pretty grisly. But the basics of the story, and that was really it, is that Mateen just waltzed into a gay club known as Pulse in Orlando, Florida, and just decided to shoot the place up. Why? Because because allegedly he was doing it for ISIS or ISIL or for Muslims or Islamic State and because he hates fags. Even though several patrons from that night seem to recall him going there multiple times. Now, at first, you might think that, well, he was just scoping the place out, you know? But from what I understand, he went there more than just once or twice. You scope a place out, really, you only need to go there maybe once or twice. You know, you get there, you get some side angles, you look around, know where everybody is. You know, you go a certain night when you know it's going to be busy, you know, certain times, fine, sure, I get that. You know, but apparently he was known as a regular. According to some people, he was known as a regular that went there to pick up men and, you know, try to hook up with them. And now, there are diverging opinions on this by both patrons and FBI and police investigators. But the original thought process was that, you know, one of the reasons he decided to go in there and just start shooting and killing everybody is because, you know, he himself was in fact a homosexual. Now, as many of you may or may not know, the Islamic religion, Muslim religion, however you want to refer to it, does not allow for homosexuality. I mean, if you wanted to pick a religion where being a homosexual is a really bad idea, this is the one. Okay? It's really bad. I mean, the one and only avenue for you is to stop being a Muslim and leave any sort of Muslim country, you know, or sooner or later you're going to be killed. That's just it. Those are your two options. Leave or get killed. There's no real middle ground there, okay? Let's see. According to this, Mateen walked to the entrance in the balmy air with an AR-15 style assault weapon and a handgun he had purchased just days earlier and started shooting. Now, while there were claims that he was in fact homosexual, so far officials have found no photograph, no text messages, no smartphone apps, no gay pornography, and no cell tower locations data to suggest that Mateen, who's twice married to women and had a young son, conducted a secret gay life. Okay, fine, that's okay. Now, there are contradictory accounts on this. One person claimed that the shooting was carried out in allegiance to the militant group Islamic State as a message to halt U.S. bombings in Iraq and Syria. Okay, exactly why, though? If you're looking to halt these attacks in Iraq and Syria, and you decide, you know, you're going to kill a bunch of people, why he specifically targeted a gay club is what I'm trying to what I'm trying to fathom here. Why specifically a gay club? I mean, maybe the idea being, there are countries in the Middle East right now that are in fact carrying out their own jihads against homosexuality, and are in fact encouraging anybody out there that finds homosexuals to go ahead and shoot and kill them. Now, several Pulse regulars have come forward, this is again from the LA Times, several Pulse regulars have come forward in the days since the shooting, claiming to have seen Mateen at the club or to have been contacted by him on the gay dating apps Grindr, Jacked, and Adam for Adam. On Tuesday, Univision aired a report in which Miguel, quote, Miguel, unquote, a man wearing a disguise to conceal his identity, alleged that he had sex with Mateen after meeting him on Grindr. He said Mateen had sex with other men, too, including a threesome with a Puerto Rican who allegedly told Mateen after having had unprotected sex with him that he was HIV positive. Now, as for the Puerto Rican, I was nowhere near Orlando, okay? So all of you can just forget it. Anyway, but investigators do not consider the man's account credible, according to one senior law enforcement officer. All right. Now, according to this, since the shooting at the Orlando, Florida nightclub the other week that left 49 people dead, reports have emerged that gunman Omar Mateen frequented the gay club, used gay dating apps, and had gay lovers. Again, FBI has found no evidence so far to support claims by those who say Mateen had gay lovers or communicated on gay dating sites. Now Mateen himself is an American citizen. This is another one of ours, people. Another one of ours, so proud. Mateen, an American citizen born in New York to Afghan immigrants, was described by co-workers as a bigot who despised gays, blacks, women, and Jews. His ex-wife said he was bipolar and abusive. His own father said he was furious when he recently saw men kissing. His ex-wife said that he was unstable and beat her. His father said he spoke openly of his disgust for gay people. A co-worker recalled him as a virulent racist. Those who knew Omar Mateen, the 29-year-old Florida security guard who carried out the worst mass shooting in America's history, described him Sunday as an angry and disagreeable person. Angry and disagreeable, that's a pretty mild way of putting it, don't you think? Now, I've read up on this guy. I've seen a lot of pictures of him, and one thing I do know for a fact is he was really in love with taking selfies. I mean, seriously, just check out like almost any picture you see of this guy. It's a selfie, you know. He takes more selfies than a teenager out on Saturday night. Swear to God. Now, why did I bring up these three stories? Well, first and foremost, like I said, I'm a little sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of people carrying out these violent crimes, and that's what they are, violent crimes, terrorist act. This was a terrorist act, okay? What happened in Nice, in Paris, in Istanbul, in Dallas, these are terrorist acts. Here in Orlando, terrorist acts. Not too far from where I live, here in Los Angeles, that nutcase that went on a shooting spree, at the office Christmas party with his wife. Terrorist acts. The reason I bring this up, I bring all these stories together, is because when these things happen, who do people call? Any guesses? Does anybody have the answer? When people get shot in a club, when they get shot in the street, when a truck goes driving through a crowd, when bombs are being set off, when people are being held hostage. Who do people call in these situations exactly? Oh, they call racist cops, of course. They call racist, bigoted cops. That's who they call. Do they take care of the problem themselves? No. Do they, pray to God and wait for Jesus to save them? No. Do they take care of it themselves? No. They call the police. Shit, that's what I fucking do. They call the police. That's what I do. And once again, I'm not telling you that all police are good. I'm not telling you that all policemen are fucking, Andy and Opie and all that kind of shit. I'm not saying that. All right? I'm saying that when these things happen, you call the police. I have a few cop friends. I'm not going to mention them by name right now because, I don't need to involve my personal shit in their personal lives, and they may not appreciate me doing so. I haven't spoken to them about this before doing this show, so I'm not going to drag them into this without their permission. But I know these guys, and these are good guys. These are guys that have, been working for police, with the police for 10 to 25 years, and as far as I know, they haven't beat or shot and killed anybody, Hell, actually, believe it or not, vast majority of police officers go their entire careers without having to draw their gun. Okay? But we don't talk about those cops. We don't talk about the vast majority of cops that when the shit hits the fan, I mean really hits the fan, we don't talk about the cops that come by and risk their lives to save you. We don't talk about the cops that, run into a burning building to rescue you. We don't talk about the cops that, act as human shields to protect you. We don't talk about the cops that are running down into a dark alley looking for the guy that robbed you, that maybe stabbed somebody you love. We don't talk about those guys. We talk about the few sensationalized cops, the bad ones that we see on TV and the internet and hear about on the radio and have it force fed down our throats when we're trying to watch porn on the fucking computer. No, we don't hear about those guys. We hear about the bad cops because that's fun. That's sensationalist. That makes the news. That makes the media. We don't talk about the guys that they help you out, at bake sales and shit. We don't talk about the cops that make sure that your peaceful protest remains peaceful. Now, we talk about the assholes that, who do beat a young black man down to the ground and who do shoot him in the back multiple times. Yeah, we talk about those guys. And then we throw in every good cop on the planet in with those guys. Yeah, that's who we talk about. So no, fuck it, don't worry about it. Next time you're having an issue with the mugger, don't call the cops. Next time you know what, ladies? Next time your husband's beating you, don't call the cops. Next time your child goes missing, you haven't seen him in 48 hours, don't call the cops. I mean, odds are they'll probably just find your kid, beat him, and shoot him, right? Once again, before you label me a racist or a cop lover, I'm saying it again, it's not that all cops are great human beings, but like all human beings, some are assholes. Just like, I know a lot of white people that are assholes. And I know a lot of white people that are wonderful friends of mine. I know a lot of white people that I've had great sex with. Okay? I know a lot of white people that I've played basketball with and football with. I know a lot of white people that have done these things. Just as I know a lot of black people that I've gone to hockey games with, baseball games with. Am I here mentioning the one black guy who held a gun to me and started to molest me in a movie theater? That actually happened. I told that story before. But after that happened to me, like a lot of people, I could have just said, all black guys are a bunch of violent goons that want to molest young children. Did I say that to anybody? No. Did I blame myself? No. I blame that one particular guy. The only reason I bothered mentioning he was black is because it's part of the fucking story. Oh, by the way, there was also this one time a white guy wanted me to go over to his house. He saw me riding on my skateboard, put his hand on my shoulder, wanted to know if I'd like to come over to his place and maybe, hang out, watch TV. I'd never met him before and I was 11, but, obviously after that, I guess all white guys are child molesters, right? Or how about the Puerto Rican guy that tried to accost me, when I was 13 years old on the D train in the Bronx. He was a Puerto Rican guy. Wanted to know if I'd like to have a friend, maybe go to his place, watch a little TV, hang out, maybe smoke some weed, drink a little beer. Yeah. Oh yeah, and all of a sudden, yeah, you know what? Every Puerto Rican guy on the planet, including me, we must be child molesters. No. Okay, that's 3 people that tried to sexually assault me. 1 black, 1 white, 1 Puerto Rican. Get me a Chinaman and I'm all set. But no. People, just like all Muslims aren't bad. You know? All white people aren't racist. All cops are not, violent killers of minorities. All blacks don't mug you. I mean, come on, people. All these horrible things happen, and then we go around blaming the wrong people. Or worse yet, we become hypocrites and say, well, that happens to them, not to us. When it happens to us, it's different. Yeah. Micah Johnson, American, served in the Army. Omar Mateen, American, born in New York, my home city. American guy. I don't think of him as from Afghanistan. His parents were from Afghanistan. He wasn't an Afghani. He was an American of Afghani descent. But he was still an American who may or may not have had sexual issues that he hadn't resolved yet. It's exhausting, isn't it? And now we're going to take one last break, and then I promise, when I come back, it'll be lighter fare. Promise you. Just listen. Let's take a quick break. Let me get some more hard lemonade here. And when we come back, I promise you some lighter fare. Okay? Next up, we have more music by Bob Johnson and the Funk Dogs. This is Type AB by Bob Johnson and the Funk Dogs. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. Joe the Shirt is off the cuff. Welcome back. Yeah, by now I'm assuming most of you are going, God damn it, Joe, take a Xanax or something. Fuck. It's funny, before I did today's show, I went over it with the Russian, my lady, and she was like, might want to throw in something funny at the end. Oh my god. It's just like I said, I want to give this show some thought. I know the show's called Off the Cuff, but on some shows I like to do a little more research than others and get my thoughts together. And I would have gotten to this show sooner. Honestly, I intended to do the show, really right after the Orlando thing. But then other shit kept happening. More and more horrible shit just kept happening. And then I was just like, okay, you know what? Let me take it in. Because there's still a bunch of other stories out there that I did not even touch that deals with these issues. Okay? But these are the ones I decided to go with. They were among the bigger ones, and the most recent one, of course, happened on Thursday. But now, we continue. Excuse me. Now, believe it or not, this next story does contain some tragedy to it. But for me, it's kind of the good kind. You'll see what I mean. Now, by now, most of you are well aware of the current app phenomena known as Pokemon Go. Okay, Pokemon Go is the newest, biggest app in the world right now. Okay, you want to know just how big this is? We're talking about since its inception, it grew to be the #1 app within 14 hours of its release, also known as 4 times faster than the last app that got to be #1. Okay, generating, now you ready for this? $1.6 million a day since its inception. And I know a lot of you out there are already doing it. A lot of you are already playing it, okay? And believe it or not, the first time that I even heard about Pokemon Go was from a friend of mine who lives in Mexico, and she posted about how she knew about Pokemon but has no idea what the fuck Pokemon Go is. And I'm wondering, what the fuck is Pokemon Go? Okay, Pokemon Go is an app. Play on your phone. Now, okay, let's give you a quick background into Pokemon first. All right. Now, a lot of you remember Pokemon from the 90s and shit, the early 2000s. Okay, basic concept of it. I mean, okay, is you go around hunting monsters. Now, by monsters, I don't mean like the giant, like Godzilla-sized variety. I'm talking about you're looking for monsters that are usually kind of cute and cuddly. The most famous one, of course, being Pikachu. Okay, it's about the size of a big dog, but looked like a bunny rabbit. Okay, he was yellow and had fat cheeks with little rouge. He was just adorable. Anyway, you go around hunting these monsters, not to kill them, but to capture them. And the way you do this is you'd have this little red and white ball. I know a lot of you people out there are listening going, what the fuck is Joe talking about? Okay, just bear with me. You have this little red and white ball that you would throw at the monster. It would hit him in the head and open up, and the monster would go into the ball and you'd capture him. And then you'd take this little ball and find another monster and throw the ball at the other monster's head, and your monster would pop out. The two monsters would fight, and if your monsters win, you get to capture that monster too. And then you keep collecting monsters in these little red balls. Okay? And the more you do, the more monsters you have, the more, and then you'd find other monster hunters, and you'd battle against each other, and whoever won, a lot of times you got to keep the other person's monster. Alright, fine. Now this game was typically originally played in some card version of it, some playing card version, where you would play cards and you do this and that and that, and it was a strategy game. Later on, it also became a video game, and then it became another video game, and another video game, and another video game, and then it also became a TV show where you had this kid that went around the world, fighting and capturing monsters, and then it also became movies. There was like 3 or 4 Pokemon movies. I'm sad to say I saw at least 3 out of 4 of them. I was bored. What do you want? Okay, there's your basic premise. All right. Now, Pokemon is back. It's called Pokemon Go. And you download this app onto your phone, your smartphone. And what you do, well, you know what? Let me read to you the official version of it. Okay, the app uses a player's smartphone camera and GPS technology technology to guide them to real locations to collect Pokemon or pocket monsters. I got a different kind of pocket monster for you, baby. Anyway, players point their phone's camera and virtual characters appear against the real-world backdrop. Then players toss a virtual ball to capture that character. Now, as I said, the game is generating $1.6 million in revenue a day as players try to speed up their quest to, wandering the world to amass animated characters. Now, for example, this is how they make money. For $1, you get 20 Pokeballs, which are virtual storage containers for the characters. And that saves the hassle for the player of having to walk around and collect them for free. So you can either play the game, or you can actually pay money to basically cheat a little bit. It's not all that different from when you're playing Candy Crush and you're stuck on a level, and they ask you if you want to buy, these power-ups so that you can get past the level. All right. Now, and it's a big marketing thing. It really is. Okay. Let's see. The company that makes it is called Niantic. Has options for accelerated sales. For one. And this is, again, one of those things where, by the way, you are throwing away your privacy. Once again, you're throwing it away, all right? Data about people's movements as they search the real world for Pokemon could be sold to businesses for advertising purposes. Marketers could learn unique facts about consumer preferences, including frequently visited locations. Business owners are already finding unofficial ways to tap in. Reddit users have offered to drive gamers around for a fee while they collect Pokemon. Multiple Uber drivers have taken to social media to offer a similar service. I mean, that's it. Uber drivers are telling these people that are hunting these Pokemon all around town on their app, hey, I'll drive you around, sure, just pay me money. Now, restaurants, bars, and cafes are trumpeting the fact that they are on the app as a Pokestop, a real-world location where the app grants players necessities including Pokeballs. Okay, so what's going on is your dumb ass is walking around with your phone, right? And on your phone, you are looking at where you're at. Okay, so if you're at the corner and you're looking at Dunkin' Donuts across the street, on the phone is a picture of Dunkin' Donuts across the street. All right? And the reason it's giving you directions to go to Dunkin' Donuts because over at Dunkin' Donuts, there's a Pokemon you can go collect. So your dumbass walks, just keeps looking at your phone, and then you walk over to Dunkin' Donuts and you see if there's a Pokemon monster there that you can buy, that you can capture or buy or whatever the hell. Now, I wish I could have been briefer with that. I truly do. But it's important to explain how this works, okay? So basically, you look at your phone, and it's a picture of where it is you are, but on the phone is superimposed a character or a Pokeball or some such shit or directions telling you what you have to do. All right. So now what's happening is, have you ever seen somebody walking down the street and they're texting or maybe looking at a video or reading their emails and they might bump into something, right? Okay, this is what's happening. The game is so immersive, so titillating, if you will, that people are not paying attention to where it is they're going. They're just looking at the app on their phone rather than to actually what's in front of them. All right. So here are a few of the stories that I've found for you guys. Let's see. This is how bad it is. People are paying attention to their phones while playing Pokemon Go. In one Northern California town, two men focused on the scavenger hunt-like game were robbed and carjacked. In San Francisco, two teenagers playing the game were robbed of their cell phones. A Central California sober living... Now here's the thing now. The app or the game programmers don't have any real idea necessarily of where it is they're dropping off these Pokeballs or Pokemons or whatever the hell. They have no real idea. They just program it into their app and then these things appear, wherever. including a Central California sober living facility which houses released sex offenders, was designated as a stop, as a Pokestop, where you can go and pick up Pokeball. So basically, it's small children are being encouraged to go to a sober living facility for sex offenders. Now, the app makers didn't do this on purpose. They just know that there was a house there. Let's see, in Anaheim, a man who was playing the game into the wee hours Wednesday was stabbed multiple times by a group of men at a park. The victim, who was in his late 20s, was using the app in Schweitzer Park on the 200 block of Bel Air Street when he encountered the group of men around 12:30 a.m. 12:30 a.m.? What the fuck are you doing at 12:30 a.m. playing a children's game in the middle of the street? Let's see, armed robbers in Missouri used the app to lure victims to isolated locations. Others have been injured using the imaginary characters without paying attention to their surroundings. So yeah, so people are literally, playing the app, and they're walking into poles, walking into like buildings, they're like walking into traffic, people are getting hit by cars because they're looking at the app rather than looking at where they actually are. Let's see. Get that one later. Let's see. A brother and sister were robbed of their smartphones on Sunday while playing Pokemon Go in San Francisco, and another one led to a couple of kids that were playing the Pokemon-led game to a dead body which was in a river in Wyoming. Let's see. And then here's my apps. Now, not all is bad. In one instance, apparently two Marine Corps veterans actually stopped a child molester or would-be child molester because they were playing the app and they were at a park and they saw some creepy guy talking to a woman and her kid, and they walked towards him. They told him they shoot him off, and then the guy went off to another woman and started talking to her and her two kids, and they noticed that the guy touched one of the boys on his chest as he was walking by them, and he was harassing them, and finally the Marines just like called the cops and held him in place, and it turns out the guy was a registered sex offender, and he was caught and went to jail. So it's not all bad, but that was just happenstance. But here's my favorite story, though. Okay. This is from northern San Diego. Two men were playing the Pokemon Go game, and they were, playing there, they're looking at their phones, when both of them fell off a cliff. They fell off a cliff. Now, I don't know how engrossing this game can possibly be. That I'm on a bluff, a cliff here, and I'm not paying attention to the point that I fall off a cliff. These guys fell anywhere. One guy fell down like 50 to 75 feet. Another one fell down 75 to 100 feet, sustaining injuries. Neither of them died, but the firefighters were called in. They were airlifted away. They're both okay now, but though I'm sure their egos are quite bruised. And I haven't found out as to whether or not any deaths have occurred, but police are actually issuing out statements to people to please occasionally look up and see where you are, what you're doing. In some parts of the world, the game has become so popular that they're putting up signs that show a little drawing of a person walking and looking at their phone with a red circle with a line through it, warning you not to do it. In other cases, wanted felons have actually walked into police stations and gotten arrested because that's where the app told them to go. Now, like I said, I don't know if any deaths have occurred due to this. I'm sure some have, and I'm 100% certain some will. And to that I say, good, fuck them. I'm good with that. Seriously, if you die because you're playing Pokemon Go, good, fuck you. I don't want you in my gene pool anyway. I'll be fine. I'm sorry. I just cannot imagine anything I'm doing, anything on my phone that I'm looking at so much that I fall off a cliff or get mugged or murdered or get myself arrested or So really, if you're out there, you're playing Pokemon Go and you get hurt and or killed, good, fuck you. I don't care. And you know what? I know this sounds cruel, but I'm going to include your kids on this one too, because if you're not a good enough parent that you've taught your child, hey, every once in a while when you're walking down the street playing your stupid ass little game, look up. Well, your kid was, he was on his way out anyway. I mean, you're a bad parent. You should go to jail. Oh my God. And that is it for me today, believe it or not. Oh my, that was a long show. I promised you something a little lighter. I did, didn't I? And I gave it to you. Pokemon Go Die. That's what I call that one. Anyway, I thank you for listening. I appreciate the time. Sorry I was such a downer for so much of the show, but I had to get that out of me, all right? Love you guys. Mean it. We got one more song here by Bob Johnson and the Funk Dogs. It's called Line of Sight. I am Joe the Shirt, and I've been off the cuff.